what we have here is my two seats that I have from my Harley XR1200. This is the stock seat. And my main complaint with it is just the material it is made out of is slick. When I'm sitting on that with nylon riding pants, I just sliding back and forth. It's bad. And it's got enough of a dip that it tries to slide you forward, and it's got a hole in it. This is a saddleman seat that I bought for it right after I got it. Right after I got the Harley. And I like it for the most part, but it's just not really the look I'm going for. I actually like just the vinyl covered seat. Now this does have the top stitch set up like I was doing on my test samples on the first video. So what I'm going to do is take the cover off this one. As you can see down here, the saddleman's a little taller, in the saddle part of it. And I'd like it more straight across so it's not trying to force me down into the bottom of it, because I'll slide from one place to the other. If you ride long distance, you want to change your position. And the factory Harley seat wants to slide your ass right down to the middle and stay there. So we will take this old cover off, which it is just like normal. It is just stapled on. We'll pull that off. We'll build up the foam in the middle. I'm actually going to mold some foam in there and take it for a ride, see if I like it better. If I like the positioning of it, then we'll start cutting out some vinyl to make the cover. Good old Harley Davidson. Look at this mess. After taking about a bajillion staples out, I got the cover off, but it is totally massively glued onto the foam to where it came off together. Instead of having, a piece of foam and a cover on it, we've got a stuck together mess that is going to destroy the foam trying to get it apart. Well, it's not a total loss. I managed to pull it off there. It was already ripped, like at the front edge, but I managed to get it pulled off there without too much damage. Looks like some angel food cake now. But I'll sand this all down and get it straightened up, get it squared up and lined up as possible, then build it up from there. And there's that spot with a hole in it. I thought it looked like a cigarette burn. That's apparently what had happened to it. The foam was saved. Took it over to the belt sander. Worked it over a little bit. It's not too bad. Who cares as long as I'm going to build it up. Shape it. We need some more right here across the front, and then bring this up a little bit in the center. So start gluing on some more foam and more sanding, and we'll see what we can come up with. Here's the first piece of foam I put on it. That's some of that closed cell foam you get at Harbor Freight. I've used it on my jet ski as footwell pads. But I put that on there, give it a little more support in the center. I need to come around the edges and build that out a little bit where some of that original foam was ripped off. Make everything transition down into the lip here smooth. Possibly put a little more here and taper back so it's more level, because that's still a little low in the front since it's just one layer. It's getting there. Now I have added another piece of foam right in here, and then blended it back in with that first piece of foam to kind of raise that nose up a little bit to help me set back toward the back of the seat easier. And hopefully this material is not as slick, so I won't be sliding around. So now I need to go around the edge and blend that in with the bottom of the seat, so when it wraps around it'll be nice and smooth. And then I get that glued together and shaped. Should be getting ready to cut some vinyl. Now we've got the sides done. I glued those on and blended them in with the seat base. So that gives us a nice transition into the edge of the seat pan so I can wrap it around. That blue material is yoga mat. I tried that on I had some pieces. As you might notice, everything I'm using is just stuff I've got laying around the house. But I tried the yoga mat as footwell pads on the jet skis. And while it was very comfortable, once that stuff got wet, it was super slick. That's why I ended up going to this other pad. But for this application, since this is fairly firm for where I'm sitting on it, the sides will squish down. The yoga pad is much more pliable, so it should squeeze down when I sit on it. So should work good for that. Now I need to fill in this section in the front so the vinyl can go along the front of it nicely. And the seat's designed to dip in a little right here, but I think I'm going to build that up and give it a little more flare right there. The top, the back, it should wrap around because that's pretty much how the foam was to start with. Maybe a piece along there just to blend it. We'll see. Well, I think I'm about ready to start putting some covering on this. I went ahead and built up the nose with some pieces in that spot that was empty there. And then I went ahead and just gave the thing one more complete layer of the yoga mat. And that seems to be very comfortable, and this stuff is nice and squishy. And that way I won't have any imperfections showing through the vinyl when I wrap it where the stuff was pieced together. I have cut out 2 pieces of this. Dip this out here. I'm going to stitch it around, and that should give it a spot to go in here. The stitch will come around, and I will let that settle in to the dip there in the seat. Hopefully. Stitching is done. The 2 pieces were overlapped together, and then I did a top stitch. Did like a close 3mm stitch underneath, and then the wider 6mm on top. So now just need to center, get that in line with the hump there, and start pulling it tight and start stapling it in place. All right, it's all pulled, stapled on there. For a first attempt, I'm not too disappointed with it. Let's see what it looks like on the bike. Here is the finished product. Not perfect by any means, but it's more like what I wanted, and it should be much more comfortable than what I had. So for a first attempt, I'm not at all disappointed. Little bit of puckering around the back. It's none at the top, and there was a dent in that. Yoga mat over here. But I'm going to take it out, go for a ride, see if it's comfortable. That to me is the main thing, because it's not a show bike. It just has to make my ass feel good.